My name is Sharon Ramirez, and I'm about to tell you about the most expensive dinner I never ate. I'm 32 years old. I run a successful digital marketing firm. I have a beautiful apartment, amazing friends, and a life I built completely on my own. And 3 months ago, my sister sent me a text that said, "We miss you. Come home for dinner. It's time to heal." I should have known better, because last Tuesday I stood in the middle of Bella Notte, the fanciest Italian restaurant in my hometown, watching a waiter approach me with a leather check presenter. My hands were shaking. My family sat at a table 6 feet away from me, wine glasses raised, smiling at each other like they'd just won something. The waiter placed the bill in front of me, 3,247 pesos. I stared at those numbers while my sister's voice cut through the restaurant noise. "We thought since you've been doing so well in your career, you'd want to treat the family." Here's the thing nobody tells you about being the black sheep. Your family doesn't exclude you because you did something wrong. They exclude you because you did something different. And in my family, different was unforgivable. Tell me in the comments, have you ever been the outsider in your own family? Have you ever walked into a room and felt like you were watching everyone else's life through glass? Because that's exactly how I felt when I arrived at that restaurant 3 hours earlier. Let me back up. I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania where everyone knew everyone, and your reputation was everything. My parents, Margaret and Robert Ramirez, were pillars of the community. Church every Sunday, perfectly manicured lawn, two golden children who did everything right. And then there was me. My sister Victoria is 4 years older than me. She married a doctor, had two perfect kids, and never left our hometown. My brother Daniel is 3 years younger. He still lives in my parents' house, bouncing between failed business ventures that they keep funding. Me? I left town at 18 and never looked back. I put myself through college, built my career, chose to stay single and child-free. I lived in 3 different states before settling in Boston. And according to my family, that made me selfish, cold, a disappointment. The last time I saw them was Thanksgiving 2021. I drove 6 hours after working a 12-hour day to close a major client deal. I walked in 30 minutes late, exhausted, apologizing. My mother looked at me across the dinner table and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Too busy with your career to care about family." Victoria and Daniel jumped in immediately, mocking my job, calling me self-absorbed, asking when I was going to grow up and settle down like a normal person. My father said nothing. He just looked at his plate. I left before dessert and didn't speak to any of them for almost 3 years. Until Victoria's text arrived 3 months ago. It came with a family photo attached, all of them together at Daniel's birthday dinner. I wasn't in the picture. I was never in the pictures. The text read, "Sharon, we miss you. Mom had a health scare last month and it made us realize how fragile life is. Can we please have dinner together? Just family. It's time to heal. We were wrong to judge your choices." I stared at that message for 20 minutes. My therapist, Dr. Morrison, had been helping me set boundaries, build a life where I didn't chase validation from people who would never give it. I'd been doing better, healing, but that text hit something deep inside me. That little girl who just wanted her family to love her. I should have remembered what my grandmother told me. Grandma Elena was the only person in my family who ever really saw me. She died 4 years ago, right before that disastrous Thanksgiving. The summer before she passed, she pulled me aside during a family barbecue. "You're the only one who got away," she whispered. "Don't come back just because they guilt you." She left me a letter with her lawyer. I never opened it. I kept it in my car's glove compartment, sealed. Like opening it would make her death more real. But I also kept wearing the simple gold pendant she gave me for my 16th birthday. The only gift anyone in my family ever gave me that felt like love. So when Victoria's text came, I touched that pendant and thought, maybe they've changed. Maybe Mom's health scare really did make them realize something. Maybe this time would be different. I responded, when and where? Victoria's reply came immediately. Next Tuesday, 7 p.m., Bella nodded. We're so happy you're coming home. I told my best friend Maya about it. She was skeptical. Sharon, they've done this before. Remember your birthday 3 years ago? They invited you to that lunch and then forgot to make a reservation? I know, I said. But what if they're sincere this time? Maya sighed. Just promise me you'll leave if they start their usual crap. You don't owe them anything. I promised. I even told Dr. Morrison in our session that week. She helped me prepare some boundaries and exit strategies. But here's what I didn't tell anyone. Part of me was still that 8-year-old girl whose birthday party got canceled because Victoria's party was more important. Part of me still wanted them to choose me. So last Tuesday, I drove 4 hours from Boston back to my hometown. I wore my best professional outfit, a tailored navy blazer and cream blouse. I brought a nice bottle of wine as a peace offering. I practiced deep breathing in the parking lot. I touched my grandmother's pendant and whispered, "Here goes nothing." I walked into Bella Notte at exactly 7 o'clock. The hostess smiled at me. "Ramirez party?" "Yes," I said, relief flooding through me. They actually made a reservation with my name included. "Right this way." She led me through the restaurant. I saw my family at a large table near the windows: Mom, Dad, Victoria, her husband Kyle, and Daniel. They were already seated, already laughing about something. My stomach did a nervous flip, but I smiled. I was ready to try. Then the hostess stopped, at a small table, 6 feet away from my family's table, a table for one. "Here you are," she said brightly. I stared at her. "I'm sorry, what?" Victoria's voice carried across the space between us. "Oh, Sharon, you're here. This table is for family. We didn't want to crowd you." The restaurant noise seemed to fade. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. This table is for family, but not for me. Everyone at the family table was looking at me now, waiting. My mother had that soft smile she always used when she was about to twist the knife. My father was studying his menu like it was the most fascinating thing he'd ever read. Daniel smirked. I stood there, holding my bottle of wine, wearing my best clothes, and realized this was planned. But they had no idea what was coming next, because the Sharon who left this town at 18 would have sat down at that separate table and tried to make it okay. She would have swallowed the humiliation and hoped that being compliant would finally earn their love. But I'm not that Sharon anymore. And by the end of this dinner, they were going to learn exactly who I had become. Let me tell you how we got here. Because this dinner didn't start last Tuesday. It started 24 years ago, when I was 8 years old. My birthday is June 15th. Victoria's birthday is June 22nd. For my 8th birthday, my parents promised me a swimming party at the community pool. I invited my whole class. I was so excited I couldn't sleep for a week. 3 days before my party, my mother sat me down at the kitchen table. "Honey, we need to talk about your birthday." I remember the exact tone of her voice. Gentle. Regretful. The tone she used when she was about to disappoint me but wanted me to think it was somehow my fault for being disappointed. "Victoria's turning 12, she said. "That's a really important birthday. We're going to throw her a big party at the country club next weekend." "Okay," I said. "Can we still do my swimming party?" "Well, sweetie, we can't really afford 2 parties in 1 month, and Victoria's friends are at such an important age. You understand, right?" I was 8. I didn't understand. But I nodded because that's what you do when you're 8 and you want your mother to love you. My party was dinner at Pizza Hut with just my parents. Victoria came too and spent the whole time talking about her upcoming party. My parents listened to her with their full attention. Nobody sang happy birthday to me. That's when the pattern started. And it never stopped. When I was 14, I won a regional academic competition. It was a big deal. I was going to receive an award at a ceremony at the county courthouse. I was so proud. I told my parents about it 2 months in advance. The night of the ceremony, they didn't show up. I stood on that stage, accepting my award, looking out at the audience for their faces. I saw other kids' parents cheering. My seat was empty. When I got home that night, I found them all in the living room watching Daniel's basketball game on TV. He was on the bench. He didn't even play. But they were all there, together, watching. "How was your thing?" my mother asked without looking away from the screen. "I won," I said quietly. "That's nice, honey." Nobody asked to see the award. I put it in my room and never mentioned it again. By the time I was applying to colleges, the dynamic was set in stone. Victoria was the golden daughter. Pretty, social, dating the right boys. Daniel was the baby. Athletic, charming, the son my father always wanted. And I was the weird one. The one with her nose always in a book. The one who didn't care about football games or prom. The one who wanted to leave. I got a full academic scholarship to Penn State. I was ecstatic. I thought finally, they would be proud of me. My father's response, "State school? I thought you were supposed to be the smart one." Victoria got married at 23. My parents spent $40,000 on her wedding. It was 3 days of celebrations. The rehearsal dinner alone cost more than my entire college tuition. When I graduated college, they didn't come to the ceremony. It conflicted with Daniel's friend's wedding. I paid my own way through everything. Worked 3 jobs in college. Slept in my car between shifts sometimes. Built my career from nothing. And every step of the way, my family treated my success like it was somehow evidence of my failure as a person. Christmas 2019. I drove home with presents for everyone. I'd spent weeks picking out thoughtful gifts. A first edition book for my father, a spa day voucher for my mother, toys for Victoria's kids. I walked in and saw the living room. A huge tree, covered in ornaments and lights. Stockings hung on the mantel for everyone except me. There was no stocking with my name on it. I stood there, presents in hand, staring at that mantel. Mom, Dad, Victoria, Kyle, Daniel. 5 stockings. "Oh," my mother said when she noticed me looking. "We didn't know if you'd actually come this year. You've been so busy." I'd confirmed 3 times that I was coming. I'd sent them my arrival time. I'd called from the road to let them know I was an hour away. Under the tree, there were piles of presents. Victoria's family had mountains of gifts. Daniel had a whole corner full of wrapped boxes. I had 2 presents, a generic candle and a picture frame. The picture frame was empty. I gave them their presents and watched them open them with polite disinterest. Then I watched them exchange gifts with each other for 2 hours, laughing, taking photos, building memories I wasn't part of. That night, I cried in my childhood bedroom. The next morning, I left early. Easter 2020 was worse. There was a family group text about planning a vacation to Florida. Dates were discussed. Hotels were booked. Flight information was shared. I was on the text thread, but nobody responded to anything I wrote. It was like I was invisible. They went to Florida without me. Victoria posted dozens of Instagram photos. Family vacation, gal, making memories. Blessed. In every single photo, there was a clear visual narrative, the whole family together. The family without me was still whole. That's when I realized something. I wasn't the missing piece. I was the extra piece that didn't fit their puzzle. But the final straw was Thanksgiving 2021. I was closing the biggest deal of my career. A Fortune 500 company had hired my firm, and the contract needed to be finalized by end of business the day before Thanksgiving. I was in negotiations until 8 p.m. I called my mother to explain I'd be late. "Sharon, we're eating at 6. "I know, Mom, I'm so sorry. This is a huge deal for my company. I should be there by 6:30 at the latest." Heavy sigh. "If it's too much trouble." "It's not trouble. I'm coming, I promise." I drove 6 hours, stopped for gas twice, didn't eat because I didn't want to waste time. I walked in the door at 6:32. The whole family was seated at the table. Food was already served. An empty chair sat at the end of the table. My mother looked up at me. Her face was cold. "Too busy with your career to care about family, Sharon." "Mom, I'm literally 32 minutes late. I drove 6 hours. We started without you," she said. "We weren't sure you'd bother to show up at all." I sat down in that empty chair. Nobody spoke to me directly. They talked around me. About me. Victoria. "Some of us actually prioritize family, you know." Daniel. "Yeah. Not everyone runs away and forgets where they came from." My father to my mother like I wasn't there. "Pass the stuffing." I sat there for 45 minutes, eating in silence, listening to them criticize my life, my choices, my career. Finally, Victoria said something that made me snap. "It's sad that you chose work over having a real life, Sharon. I mean, what do you even have? No husband, no kids, just money and loneliness. Is that really success?" I stood up, put my napkin on the table. "You know what? I'm done." My mother. "Sharon, don't be so sensitive." "I'm not being sensitive. I'm being smart. I drove 6 hours to be here. I worked 12 hours yesterday to make sure I could come. And this is how you treat me. Every single time, no matter what I do." Daniel laughed. Actually laughed. "God, you're so dramatic." "I'm leaving," I said, "and I'm not coming back." Victoria. "Don't be ridiculous." "I'm serious. I'm done trying to earn love from people who don't even like me." I walked out, got in my car, drove back to Boston. I didn't speak to any of them for almost 3 years. And honestly, those were the best 3 years of my life. I built my business. My marketing firm went from just me and one contractor to a team of 8. We landed major clients. My revenue tripled. I bought a beautiful apartment in Boston. I traveled to Barcelona and Tokyo. I made real friends, people who actually wanted to spend time with me. I went to therapy. Dr. Morrison helped me understand that I'd been trying to earn love from people who were never going to give it. That I wasn't the problem. That I'd been scapegoated my entire life. I started to heal. But then Victoria's text came. And that little girl inside me, the one who never got her swimming party, whispered, "Maybe this time." My grandmother Elena understood. She was my father's mother, and she never liked how they treated me. She'd slip me $20 bills when no one was looking. She'd tell me I was smart and special. She'd take me out for ice cream and actually listen when I talked. The summer before she died, we were at a family barbecue. She pulled me aside in her garden. "Sharon, I need to tell you something." "What is it, Grandma?" She looked back at the house, where everyone was gathered. Victoria showing off photos from her second baby's nursery. Daniel bragging about his latest business idea that would definitely work this time. My parents nodding along, proud. "You're the only one who got away," she said quietly. "You built something real. Don't come back just because they guilt you. They'll never see your value." "Grandma, I'm serious. I see how they treat you, how they always have. You are not the problem, sweetheart. You never were." She died 3 months later. Heart attack in her sleep. At her funeral, Victoria cried dramatically. Daniel gave a speech about how much he'd miss her. My mother talked about what a wonderful mother-in-law she'd been. I stood in the back and barely held it together. After the service, her lawyer gave me an envelope. "Your grandmother left instructions that you receive this," he said. "She also left you her estate. The will reading is next week." Her estate? Her house and savings. It's all yours. I went to that will reading. The family was furious. Grandma Elena had left them nothing. Everything. Her house, $400,000 in savings and investments, went to me. Victoria screamed at me in the lawyer's office. "This is insane! You barely visited her." The lawyer, calmly, "Mrs. Chen, I helped Ms. Elena draft this will 5 years ago. She was very clear about her intentions." My mother, "Sharon, you can't possibly accept this. Think about your brother's children, your sister's family." "I'm accepting it," I said. "Grandma Elena wanted me to have it." I walked out of that office with the envelope still sealed in my purse. I couldn't open it. Not yet. I sold Grandma's house and invested the money. That $400,000 became the foundation of my real wealth. I bought property, made smart investments, launched 2 side businesses. By the time Victoria's reconciliation text arrived, I was a millionaire. But my family didn't know that. They still thought I was just scraping by with my little computer job. So when I agreed to dinner, I knew I had something they didn't: financial independence and documentation. Because over the years, I'd kept everything. Every text where I was excluded, every email I sent that went unanswered, every Instagram post where I was cropped out of photos, every birthday they forgot. I'd started keeping this record after my therapist suggested it, not because I was planning revenge, but because I was gaslighting myself. I'd think, maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe it's not that bad. The evidence proved it was that bad. So when I walked into Bella Nade last Tuesday, I had my phone fully charged. I was wearing a small recording device in my jacket, legal in Pennsylvania for self-protection. I'd told Maya and Dr. Morrison the exact details of the dinner. I was prepared for disappointment. What I wasn't prepared for was just how calculated their cruelty would be. Standing next to that table for one, holding my bottle of wine, I made a choice. I could leave right then, walk out with my dignity intact, or I could stay and see exactly what they'd planned. Some part of me needed to see it, needed to witness just how far they'd go. So I sat down at my separate table. The hostess placed a menu in front of me. "Your server will be right with you," she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She'd seen this dynamic before. I looked across those 6 feet of space at my family's table. They'd already been served wine. They were laughing about something. Not one of them looked at me. A waiter approached. Not my family's waiter. Mine. "Good evening, I'm Diego. Can I start you with something to drink?" His voice was kind. His eyes were sympathetic. He knew. "Water, please," I said. My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Of course." As he walked away, Victoria's voice carried across the restaurant. "So, I was telling Chelsea, my friend from the country club, about this amazing new organic baby food company. She was talking loud enough for me to hear, but not to me." My mother was nodding along, engaged, asking questions. I pulled out my phone. Maya had texted, "How's it going? Ready for me to call with a fake emergency yet?" I typed back, "Not yet. This is worse than I expected." "Want me to come get you?" "No. I need to see where this goes." Diego returned with my water. "Have you had a chance to look at the menu?" I hadn't. I'd been watching my family. "What do you recommend?" "The chicken marsala is excellent. Very reasonably priced." Very reasonably priced. He was trying to help me. "I'll do that, thank you." "Would you like a wine to pair with it?" "No, thank you. Just water." He nodded and left. I watched him approach my family's table. Their waiter, A younger guy, maybe mid-20s, was taking their orders. Daniel's voice boomed. "Yeah, I'll take the porterhouse, rare, and another bottle of that Barolo." Another bottle. They'd already finished one. My father ordered the veal. My mother, the lobster ravioli. Victoria, after a long performance of indecision, ordered the Chilean sea bass. I glanced at the menu. The porterhouse was $95. The sea bass was $78. The Barolo was $200 a bottle. A cold feeling settled in my stomach. Diego brought my chicken marsala 30 minutes later. It was $47. A reasonable price at a nice restaurant. My family's table was covered in appetizers I hadn't seen them order. Calamari, bruschetta, a cheese board, multiple baskets of bread. They were eating and laughing and taking photos. Victoria's phone was out. She was doing that thing where she held it up, adjusting angles, making sure the lighting was perfect, getting content. I pulled up Instagram, searched for her profile. She'd posted a story 15 minutes ago, a boomerang of wine glasses clinking. The caption, "So blessed to be with my real family tonight. Family first, blessed family dinner." I scrolled through the frame by frame. You could see the edge of my table in one shot, but she'd cropped me out. My hand started shaking. I took a screenshot, added it to the folder on my phone labeled Family Documentation. Another story appeared. This one was a photo of all of them smiling at the camera. Mom, Dad, Victoria, Kyle, Daniel. Everyone except me. The caption, "Nothing better than being surrounded by the people who matter most. The people who matter most." I put my phone down, picked up my fork, tried to eat my chicken. It tasted like nothing. Across the space, my father raised his glass. "A toast," he said. Everyone at the table lifted their wine. "To family," he said. "To the people who show up when it matters." They all clinked glasses. Daniel turned his body slightly toward me, made eye contact, and smiled. Then he turned back and said to the table, loud enough for me to hear, "To family traditions and people who actually care about them." My mother touched his arm affectionately. "That's right, honey." I gripped my fork so hard my knuckles turned white. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. I wanted to stand up and demand to know what the hell this was. But I didn't. I sat there. And I watched. Because I was starting to understand. This wasn't just exclusion. This was punishment. This was revenge for Thanksgiving 2021. For leaving. For choosing myself over them. This was designed to hurt me. Diego appeared at my shoulder. "How is everything?" "It's fine," I whispered. He glanced toward my family's table, then back at me. "Would you like anything else?" "No, thank you." He hesitated, like he wanted to say something. Then he nodded and left. I finished half my chicken. I couldn't eat more. My stomach was a knot. At the family table, appetizers were cleared. Entrees arrived. The expensive entrees. More wine was poured. Victoria pulled out her phone again. Another Instagram story. This time, a photo of her lobster dish. "Living our best life. Narration family time. Blessed." I looked down at my half-eaten chicken, at my water, at my separate table. This wasn't reconciliation. This was theater. And I was the audience they were performing for. I pulled up my phone and opened my voice memo app. Started recording. Kept my phone on my lap, microphone facing them. My mother's voice. "Victoria, honey, did you tell Sharon about the vacation we're planning?" Victoria, loud and clear. "Oh, no, I didn't. We're all going to the Bahamas in August. The whole family." Pause. Nobody said anything about me joining. Daniel. "It's going to be amazing. We got this huge villa, 5 bedrooms." 5 bedrooms. Mom, Dad, Victoria's family. Daniel. No room for me. My mother. We're so excited, it's been too long since we had a real family vacation. I had been on zero family vacation since college. The recording kept running. More wine was ordered. Desserts came. Tiramisu. Cannoli. After dinner grappa. They were celebrating something. I could feel it. The energy at their table was victorious. And then I saw it. Victoria and my mother exchanged a look. My mother nodded slightly. Victoria pulled out her phone. Typed something. Put it away. Smiled at Kyle. My phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. How's your dinner? I stared at that message, at that emoji, at the casual cruelty of it. I didn't respond. Another buzz. This time, from my mother. Sharon, honey, we're so glad you came tonight. It means so much to have the whole family together. The whole family, sitting at two separate tables. I looked up. My mother was watching me, phone in her hand, waiting to see if I'd respond. I didn't. Diego appeared again, this time with something in his hand, a leather check presenter. My heart started pounding. He was walking toward the family table. He was going to give them their bill and I could finally leave and never come back. But then, he didn't stop at their table. He walked past them, and he walked to me. Time seemed to slow down. I watched him approach, watched him place the leather folder on my table. Whenever you're ready, he said quietly. His eyes met mine. They weren't pitying. They were knowing. Like he'd seen this before. I opened the folder. 3,247. I stared at that number. Read it 3 times to make sure I was seeing it correctly. $3,200.47. My chicken marsala was $47. This bill had 2 bottles of Barolo wine at $200 each, 5 premium entrees, multiple appetizers, desserts, grappa. 20% gratuity already added. This was their bill, the entire family's bill, and they'd given it to me. I looked up. My family was watching me. All of them. Waiting. Victoria's voice cut through the noise of the restaurant. Oh, we thought since you've been doing so well in your career, you'd want to treat the family. You know, as an apology for all the missed holidays. The words hung in the air. An apology. For all the missed holidays. The holidays they'd excluded me from. The stockings they hadn't hung for me. The vacations they'd planned without me. The birthdays they'd forgotten. I needed to apologize for being excluded. My mother, in that soft, wounded voice. Sweetheart, families help each other. And you've had so much success while your brother's been struggling. Daniel, grinning now. Yeah, some of us have real responsibilities. Kids to feed. Bills to pay. Not everyone can just run away and be selfish. Kyle, Victoria's husband, looked uncomfortable, but he said nothing. My father studied his empty dessert plate. I looked down at that bill again. $3,200. My chicken marsala, $47. Their exploitation, $3,153. And in that moment, something inside me cracked wide open. Not pain, not hurt. Clarity. My grandmother's voice in my head. You're the only one who got away. Don't come back just because they guilt you. I reached into my purse, pulled out my phone, opened the voice recording app, stopped the recording I'd been making for the last hour. Then I pressed play. My mother's voice, from 15 minutes ago. We're so excited, it's been too long since we had a real family vacation. Daniel's voice. 5 bedrooms. Victoria's voice. It's going to be amazing, the whole family. I pressed stop, looked up at them. Just to be clear, I said. My voice was steady, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. You invited me to a family dinner. You seated me at a separate table. You ordered $3,200 worth of food and drinks without asking me. You posted social media about your real family while I sat 6 feet away. And now you expect me to pay for all of it as an apology for being excluded? The restaurant had gone quiet. People at nearby tables were watching now. Victoria's face flushed. Sharon, don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being clear. I stood up, pulled out my phone, and opened my photo gallery. The folder labeled Family Documentation. I have every text where I was excluded, every Instagram post where I was cropped out, every email I sent that you ignored, screenshots from tonight where you posted about your real family while I sat alone. My mother. Sharon, people are staring. Good. Let them stare. I turned to Diego, who was still standing nearby. This isn't my bill, is it? I ordered the chicken marsala. $47. Diego looked at my family's table, then at me. No, ma'am, that's correct. Your bill is $47. And this? I held up the leather folder. This is their bill. Yes, ma'am. Victoria stood up now. Sharon, this is ridiculous. We're family. No, I said. The word came out hard, final. You're not family. You're people who share my DNA. Family doesn't do this. Daniel was red-faced now, angry. You owe us. I owe you nothing. My father finally looked at me. Sharon, don't make a scene. I'm not making a scene, Dad. You made the scene when you planned this entire setup to humiliate and exploit me. And then I told them something they didn't know. My little computer job? My voice was clear now, strong. I run a digital marketing firm that grossed $1.2 million last year. I own my apartment. I have investments. I could pay this bill with my weekly earnings. Victoria's mouth fell open. But I won't, because rewarding people who exploit me isn't love. It's enabling abuse. My mother's eyes were wide. You have that kind of money? I've had that kind of money for 3 years. You never asked. You never cared about my life. You only cared when you thought you could use me. I turned back to Diego. What happens if I refuse to pay their bill? Diego glanced toward the back of the restaurant. A manager was already approaching. The bill goes to whoever ordered the items, Diego said quietly. That would be them. The manager arrived, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a firm voice. Is there a problem here? I gestured to my family's table. They ordered $3,200 of food and drinks, then gave me the bill without asking. The manager looked at the bill, then at my family. Is this accurate? Silence. Victoria finally spoke. We're family, we thought. It doesn't matter what you thought, the manager said firmly. You order it, you pay for it. That's how restaurants work. Daniel pulled out his wallet, started looking through cards. The manager turned to me. Ma'am, your bill is just the chicken marsala? Yes. $47. I'll have Diego bring you the correct bill. As she walked away, I looked at my family one more time. Grandma Elena left me everything because she knew. She saw who you really were, and she left me a letter explaining exactly why she left you nothing. My mother's face went pale. For 32 years, I tried to earn your love. I tried to be good enough, smart enough, successful enough. But nothing was ever enough because you never intended to love me. You just wanted someone to use. I picked up my purse, touched my grandmother's pendant. Thank you for finally making it clear. Diego appeared with my actual bill. $47. I paid with my card, left him a $50 tip. Then I walked out of Bellinata while my family sat in silence, trying to figure out how to pay a $3,200 bill they couldn't afford. I made it to my car before the shaking started. My hands trembled as I unlocked the door. I got in, closed it, locked it, and then I just sat there, breathing. The pendant felt warm against my chest. My phone rang. Maya. How did it go? I laughed. It came out slightly hysterical. They tried to stick me with a $3,200 bill. They what? I'll tell you everything, but first I need to do something. I hung up and opened my glove compartment. The envelope was still there. Grandma Elena's letter, sealed with wax. My name written in her careful handwriting. Okay, Grandma, I whispered. I'm ready now. I opened it. The letter was 3 pages. Her handwriting, dated 2 months before she died. My dearest Sharon, if you're reading this, you've finally seen them for who they are. I'm sorry I won't be there to hug you when it happens, but I need you to know, you are not the problem. You never were. I watched them treat you like an outsider your whole life. At first, I thought it was because you were different, smarter, more independent. But as I got older, I realized the truth. You reminded them of their own limitations. Your father sees his own cowardice in your courage. Your mother sees her own small-mindedness in your expansive dreams. Victoria sees the life she gave up in the life you built. Daniel sees his failures in your success. They didn't exclude you because you weren't good enough. They excluded you because you were too good. And that terrified them. I left you everything because you earned nothing and deserved everything. You're the only one who ever asked how I was feeling instead of telling me what you needed. You're the only one who visited me without wanting something. You're the only one who became something real. Use what I left you to build the life they tried to convince you that you didn't deserve. And Sharon, stop coming back. They will never change. They will never see you. They will never choose you. But you can choose yourself. You are not alone. You never were. You were just in the wrong room. Find your real family, the people who celebrate you instead of tolerate you. The people who include you because they want you there, not because they're supposed to. I'm proud of you. I always was. All my love. Grandma Elena P.S. I've watched your father and mother for 40 years. They're small people with small hearts. Don't shrink yourself to fit in their small world. You were meant for bigger things. I read it twice. Then I cried. Big, gulping sobs that shook my whole body. But they weren't sad tears. They were relief. I texted Maya, "Can I come over?" Already got the wine ready. I drove to Maya's apartment. She opened the door and wrapped me in a hug before I could even speak. Tell me everything. So I did. I told her about the separate table, the Instagram posts, the $3,000 bill, the recording I'd made, everything. You have all of this documented? Maya asked. Every bit. Sharon, you need to share this story. What do you mean? I mean, people need to hear this. Do you know how many people deal with toxic families? How many people keep going back hoping it'll be different? Your story could help people. I thought about it. About the years I'd spent thinking I was the problem. About the therapy sessions where I learned I wasn't. Facebook? I said. Facebook, Maya agreed. And make it public. Don't protect them anymore. So we did. That night, sitting at Maya's kitchen table, I wrote it all out. I uploaded screenshots of Victoria's invitation text, screenshots of the Instagram stories, photos of the receipts I'd saved over the years, the recording of their conversation about the Bahamas trip. I wrote about the missing stocking, the canceled birthday party, the missed award ceremony, the will reading, everything. The post was titled, "The 3,200 Family Reconciliation Dinner Scam, a warning about toxic family dynamics." I tagged my family members, made it public, and posted it at midnight. Then I turned off my phone and slept at Maya's house. The next morning, my phone was on fire. 400 notifications. The post had been shared 3,000 times. I scrolled through the comments. They went on for pages. This exact thing happened to me. Thank you for sharing. I'm crying reading this. I thought I was the only one. Your family is disgusting. I'm so sorry. This is financial abuse. You should press charges. I'm a family therapist and this is textbook scapegoating. You did the right thing. Sharing this with my sister who needs to see this. The post had gone viral. My inbox was full of messages, old friends from high school reaching out, former teachers saying they always noticed the favoritism, people sharing their own stories of family exclusion. And then I saw a message from Victoria. Take down that post right now. You're humiliating the entire family. I didn't respond. Another message from my mother. Sharon, how could you? We're getting harassing messages from strangers. This is cruel. I blocked them both. Maya made coffee and we sat on her couch reading responses for hours. Look at this one, Maya said. She showed me a comment from a woman in Texas. My family did the exact same thing at my wedding. They came, ordered top-shelf everything, left me with the bar tab, and then complained I didn't spend enough time with them. I wish I'd had your courage to call them out. You're a hero. A hero. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt tired and free. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Hello? Is this Sharon Ramirez? Yes? This is Angela from Good Morning Charleston. We're a local morning show. We saw your viral post and we'd love to interview you about family financial abuse. Would you be interested? I looked at Maya. She nodded enthusiastically. Let me think about it, I said. Over the next week, the story spread wider. It was picked up by several parenting blogs and family relationship sites, a Reddit thread with 50,000 upvotes, Twitter threads analyzing family scapegoat dynamics. My business phone started ringing with new client inquiries. Apparently, standing up for yourself was good marketing. I got an email from Dr. Morrison. Sharon, I'm so proud of you. This is what freedom looks like. I got a message from Kyle, Victoria's husband. Sharon, I'm sorry. I knew the dinner plan was wrong, but I didn't speak up. You didn't deserve that. I told Victoria she needs to apologize, but she won't listen. Just wanted you to know someone in the family knows you were right. That message made me cry, but the best message came from Diego, the waiter from Bella Nota. Someone had connected the dots and found the restaurant. Diego sent me a DM on Instagram. Hi Sharon, I'm the waiter from that night. I wanted you to know that I've worked in restaurants for 15 years and I've seen this dynamic before. Families exploiting one member. What you did took courage. I told my manager the truth about what happened that night. She wanted me to tell you that you did the right thing. Also, your family couldn't pay the full bill. They tried to dispute the charges. The restaurant is pursuing collections. You're not alone in this. Diego. I read that message 5 times. They couldn't pay the bill? Of course they couldn't. They'd ordered $3,200 worth of food they couldn't afford, planning to stick me with it. And when their plan failed, they had to face consequences. 2 weeks after the dinner, I got a call from a literary agent. Ms. Ramirez, have you ever considered writing a book about your experience? I hadn't, but maybe I should. A month later, I was offered a book deal, a memoir about family scapegoating and the journey to self-worth. Victoria's Instagram following dropped by half. People in the comments of her posts kept asking about the dinner. She eventually made her account private. My mother sent me a card. A literal greeting card, like that would fix things. Sharon, we miss you. The whole misunderstanding has been blown out of proportion. Can we talk? Misunderstanding. That's what she was calling it. I didn't respond. Daniel sent a message. You destroyed our family for attention. Was it worth it? I blocked him. But something unexpected happened. Old family friends started reaching out. People I'd known growing up. Mrs. Peterson, My third grade teacher. Sharon, I always noticed how differently they treated you. I'm sorry I never said something. You were always such a bright, kind child. I'm glad you found your voice. Tommy Chen, my childhood neighbor. Dude, your family was always weird to you. I remember that birthday party that got canceled. Even as a kid, I knew that was messed up. Good for you. Sarah Mitchell, Victoria's former best friend. Victoria and I aren't friends anymore. Long story. But I wanted you to know she used to talk about you behind your back. She was jealous of you even back then. You were always the smart one. Each message was a piece of validation, proof that I hadn't imagined it, that it had been real, that other people had seen it too. 3 months after the dinner, I sat in my Boston apartment and realized something. I was happy. Not the forced happiness of pretending everything was fine. Real happiness. The kind that comes from being around people who actually want you there. I'd built a life. A real one. With Maya and Dr. Morrison and my business team and clients who respected me, and friends who called me just to talk. My chosen family. I touched my grandmother's pendant and smiled. You were right, Grandma. I was in the wrong room. But I'm home now. 1 year after the dinner, I stood in front of a room full of people at a women's business conference in Philadelphia, telling my story. The truth about family is that DNA doesn't make you obligated, I said. Love is supposed to be given freely, not earned through endless sacrifice. The room was silent. 300 women listening. For years, I thought if I was just successful enough, smart enough, generous enough, they would finally see me. But the problem was never my worth. It was their capacity. Small people with small hearts can't hold big love. Applause. After the keynote, women lined up to talk to me, to share their stories, to cry and hug me and say, "Thank you for making me feel less alone." A woman in her 50s grabbed my hand. I haven't spoken to my family in 10 years. I've felt guilty every single day. Your story made me realize I made the right choice. A younger woman, maybe 23. My mom keeps telling me I owe her because she raised me, but she was terrible to me. Your story gave me permission to stop feeling guilty. This was why I'd shared my story. Not for revenge, for liberation. Mine and theirs. The book was published in the fall. The Wrong Room, a memoir of family scapegoating and self-worth. It hit the New York Times bestseller list in week 3. My family didn't contact me about it, but mutual acquaintances told me my mother bought a copy, read it, and told people I'd exaggerated everything. Some people will never see, and that's okay. Their blindness isn't my problem anymore. My business continued to grow. 15 employees now, clients all over the country. Revenue in the millions. I bought a bigger apartment. A beautiful loft with huge windows and exposed brick. I decorated it with photos of my chosen family. Maya and her partner. Dr. Morrison at my book launch. My business team at our holiday party. Diego and I at a charity dinner we both volunteered at. One wall was dedicated to achievements, my book cover, framed, articles about my business, the scholarship fund I'd created in Grandma Elena's name, and in a small frame on my bedside table, Grandma Elena's letter. Thanksgiving that year, I hosted dinner at my apartment. Maya and her partner, Dr. Morrison and her husband, 3 of my employees who didn't have family nearby, Diego and his boyfriend. We cooked together, laughed, told stories. Nobody left feeling small. This was family. Real family. The kind you choose. After dinner, Maya raised her glass. To Sharon, for teaching us all that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away. To Sharon, everyone echoed. I touched my grandmother's pendant. To Grandma Elena, I said quietly, Who saw me when no one else did? That Christmas, I didn't feel that familiar ache, the one that used to come when I wasn't invited to family celebrations. Instead, I felt grateful. I was at Maya's parents' house. They'd invited me years ago and kept inviting me until it became tradition. They introduced me as our daughter's sister and meant it. On Christmas morning, there was a stocking hung on their mantel with my name on it. I cried when I saw it. Maya's mom hugged me. Your family, honey. Real family. I still got messages sometimes, from people who read my book, from women at conferences, from daughters and sons who were finally ready to set boundaries. One message came from a woman in Oregon. I read your book and cried through the whole thing. I'm 47 years old and I've spent my entire life trying to earn my mother's love. Because of your story, I finally accepted that she'll never give it. And that's okay. I'm enough. Thank you. That message made me realize the dinner wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. I started a podcast. The Wrong Room. Conversations about toxic family dynamics and chosen family. Each episode featured someone who'd walked away from family abuse and built a life of authentic connection. Diego was my first guest. He shared his story of family financial abuse, how his parents had drained his savings multiple times before he finally cut them off. The guilt never fully goes away, he said, but the peace is worth it. The podcast hit #1 in the self-help category within 2 months. I was invited to speak at universities, at therapy conferences, at corporate events about setting boundaries in professional and personal relationships. My message was always the same. You cannot earn love from people who have decided not to give it. And that's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their capacity. 2 years after the dinner, I got an unexpected message. Kyle, Victoria's husband. Sharon, I wanted you to know that Victoria and I are getting divorced. The past 2 years have opened my eyes to a lot of things. She hasn't changed. If anything, losing her social media following made her worse. I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you that night. You deserved better. I hope you're doing well. I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me felt vindicated. The golden child's perfect life had cracked. But mostly, I felt sad. Not for Victoria, for her kids, for Kyle, for everyone trapped in that system of performance and cruelty. I responded, I hope you find peace, Kyle, and I hope your kids grow up knowing they're enough exactly as they are. He replied, That's my goal. Thank you. I blocked Victoria on every platform, but I didn't block Kyle, just in case her kids ever needed someone who understood. 3 years after the dinner, I returned to my hometown for the first time. Not for family, for the scholarship ceremony. The Elena Ramirez Scholarship Fund had grown. We were awarding full rides to 5 first-generation college students from my old high school. I stood on that stage in the auditorium where I'd once received an award that my parents didn't come to see. And I looked out at the audience, 5 students and their families, teachers who'd nominated them, community members who'd donated. And in the back row, quietly, was my father. He was alone, older, smaller somehow. Our eyes met. He looked away first. After the ceremony, he approached me, hands in his pockets, shoulders hunched. Sharon. Dad. Silence. That was a nice thing you did? The scholarship? Grandma would have loved it. He nodded, looked at his shoes. Your mother and we've been talking. Okay? We think maybe we were too hard on you. Growing up. Too hard. That's what he was calling it. Dad, you let them treat me like I didn't matter. For my entire childhood. That wasn't being too hard. That was neglect. His face reddened. We did our best. Your best wasn't good enough. And I've made peace with that. but I'm not interested in revisiting the past just so you can feel better about it. Sharon, you're still our daughter. I'm Grandma Elena's granddaughter. That's the only family connection that ever mattered. I walked away, got in my car, drove back to Boston, and I felt nothing. No anger, no hurt, just done. That night, I got a message from my mother. Your father said you were very rude to him today. After everything we've done for you, all the sacrifices we made, you owe us basic respect. I read it twice. Then I deleted it without responding. Maya asked me later if I felt guilty. No, I said. Oh, I feel free. Because that's what healing looks like. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation. Just freedom from the need for their validation. 4 years after the dinner, I met someone. Her name was Carmen. She was a photographer. Brilliant and funny and kind. She had her own complicated family story. On our third date, I told her about the dinner, about my family, about everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she reached across the table and took my hand. Thank you for trusting me with that. It's a lot of baggage. It's not baggage. It's your story. And it made you who you are. Someone strong enough to walk away from people who didn't deserve you. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony. Just chosen family. Maya was my maid of honor. Diego officiated. Dr. Morrison gave a speech about the power of choosing yourself. My biological family wasn't invited, and I didn't miss them. Carmen's vows made me cry. You taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about showing up. About seeing someone and choosing them every day. I see you, Sharon, and I choose you. Forever. Our wedding photo sits on my desk now, next to Grandma Elena's letter, next to my book cover. Reminders that the best revenge isn't living well, it's living honestly. 5 years after the dinner, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. Aunt Sharon, this is Madison, Victoria's daughter. I'm 18 now. I've read your book. I wanted you to know that I understand why you left. And I'm sorry for what my mom did. I'm going to college in Boston next year. Can we get coffee sometime? I stared at that message for a long time. Victoria's daughter, reaching out. I thought about it. Talked to Carmen about it. Talked to Dr. Morrison. And then I responded, Madison, I'd love that. And congratulations on college. Your great-grandmother would be so proud. Because that's the thing about healing. It doesn't mean you stay bitter. It means you get to choose who deserves access to the life you've built. And sometimes, the next generation deserves a chance to break the cycle. We met for coffee. Madison was bright and thoughtful and painfully aware of her family's dysfunction. I saw what happened, she said quietly. At that dinner, I was 16. Mom and Grandma were planning it for weeks. I told them it was wrong, but nobody listened to me. It's not your fault, Madison. I know, but I'm sorry anyway. She paused. I don't want to be like them. I don't want to treat people the way they treated you. Then don't, I said. You get to choose what kind of person you become. You're not doomed to repeat their patterns. She smiled. That's what your book said. That's why I read it 3 times. We meet for coffee once a month now. I'm helping her apply for the Elena Ramirez Scholarship. She wants to study social work. I want to help families heal, she told me, or help people leave when they can't. She's going to do amazing things. Now, 6 years after that dinner, I'm standing in my office, looking out over the Boston skyline. My business is thriving. My marriage is strong. My chosen family is growing. Maya just had a baby and named me godmother. Diego opened his own restaurant. Dr. Morrison retired and I threw her a party. I touched my grandmother's pendant. Sometimes people ask me if I regret going to that dinner, if I wish I'd just ignored the invitation. And I tell them no, because that dinner was the best thing that ever happened to me. It showed me, with perfect clarity, who my family really was. It ended years of false hope. It gave me permission to finally choose myself. That $3,000 bill bought my freedom, and that's priceless. So here's what I want you to know. If you're reading this and you see yourself in my story, you are not the problem. You were never the problem. Some people will never see your worth. That's not a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of their capacity. You cannot earn love from people who have decided not to give it, and trying will only break you. Walking away isn't giving up, it's waking up. And the family you choose will always be more real than the family you were given. So if you've been sitting at the separate table your whole life, wondering why you're not good enough to join them, stop wondering. The table you're looking for isn't behind you, it's ahead of you, with people who will save you a seat, who will see you walk in and smile because you showed up, who will celebrate you instead of tolerate you. I found my table, and I promise you can find yours too. You just have to be brave enough to leave the wrong room. Now tell me in the comments, have you ever been the scapegoat in your family? Have you ever walked away from toxic people who shared your DNA? Your story matters. Share it below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you're still sitting at that separate table, still hoping they'll invite you over, this is your sign. You deserve better. You always did. The best revenge isn't living well. It's living honestly. And I'm finally, beautifully free.